Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm an airline pilot, and today we are going to have a look at the FlySimWare Learjet 35. There have been quite a couple of controversies with early access products over the recent days, while one company that has always delivered so far is FlySimWare. They've done an awesome job on the Chancellor when it first came out, and now they have ended the early access of the Learjet 35. Now, the Learjet 35 has just got out to sim market in its release version, which is 1.4, and it will be available on Marketplace on the June 6th, and for Xbox on June 13th, which got slightly delayed due to the WASM schedule. Now, let's go ahead and have a look at what the finished product looks like, and, well, saying finished, obviously development isn't completely finished yet, but it is in a very good shape now where it can safely be taken out of the early access. So, the Learjet 35, as you know, is, in my opinion, like the first real Learjet looking aircraft. I know there's the 25 around, but this one really has the classic Learjet shape, but it also has the wingtip tanks that you can see on the right side of the wing over here, which just gives it a very distinct shape. It goes all the way up to flight level 450 and goes over Mach 0.8, so it's got an awesome performance available to it. Now let's go ahead and step inside and have a look at what we can expect in our Learjet. As you can see, it is equipped with analog instrumentation in here. There are several different avionics options available, and I for one have chosen the TDS GTN-XI over here, which simply is my favorite avionics tool. Now, I could not find any commentary on what is going to be available for Xbox. I suppose only the GNS 430, unless there is another add-on with a third-party GPS available for the Xbox platform. Now, apart from that, we also have a very nicely modeled cabin in this little aircraft. Let's first of all go ahead and open up the doors down here. So it is a several part door, as you can see, and here we go. And likewise on the bottom part we can lower it using click spot over here. Now they do simulate all those lovely little buttons in the cabin, like for example the step lights, cabin lights, the dimmer, the baggage light, but also the individual controls that you have on the overhead panel, like over here. The only thing that's not simulated is the oxygen mask coming out, but apart from that, that is a really cool thing. Now, the cabin itself, really high quality that we can see over here. We can simulate things like the sunshades individually. We do have the table simulated right here, and let's just admit it, this is a pretty neat aircraft. It also has a couple of modern touches, even though it has the old school instrumentation in the cockpit, like for example the more modern screens that you have available in the cabin over here. Obviously it's not a Global 7500, it is a little bit older, but that just adds to the charm of the aircraft if you ask me. So let's go ahead and open up all those sunshades. We're going to prepare the cabin for arrival of our passengers over here. So that is it. Now, if we do go ahead and go into the cockpit for a moment, let's have a quick look at the iPad and see what kind of options they have available. By default, it's stowed down here, but when you click the holder over here, then you can bring it to the main panel. So looking into the general pages, we start on the configuration page here, where we got things like the chocks, engine covers, pitot covers. So just to show you, this is what they look like right now. I've selected the engine covers, the pitot covers, and the chocks. Now let's go ahead and remove all of those. And also a front cover, which is on the forward windshield, like this. We can connect the ground power unit, and we have a headset filter. Now the headset we can also simulate through clicking on it down here on the knob. And basically, well, it amends your sounds to resemble what a pilot would hear, as basically any pilot would be wearing a headset flying an airplane like this. Apart from that, you can control a couple of the lights that are otherwise only reachable through the buttons in the cabin over here, and you can also control a couple of the animations. Now, we do have very basic wind and weather information over here, and then we've got the loading. Now, before we start with the loading, let's just quickly go to the other pages. So we do have a fuel page over here where we can control the fuel load of the aircraft, and then we do have the checklist page, which is pretty neat as well. Like this, you can switch around between all those different checklists available. They are not interactive, unfortunately, so it's only a display, and it doesn't tick automatically as you do things. But nonetheless, I do believe it is a very nice addition to our simulation. Finally then, we do have the options page, and over here you got things like you can disable a couple of sounds that may otherwise be a little bit annoying, like for example the clacking sound that comes up from the engine gauges moving. Now, you also have the option to show and hide passengers, to convert your fuel units from a quantity into a weight, and choose between metric and imperial units down here. So these are the basic options we have. Now, for today's flight, we're going to take 4 passengers, and we are also going to put in a couple of suitcases and bags down here. So I am just going to put a little bit of stuff down there, and then we can go ahead and choose our different passengers. So we are just going to transport 5 passengers today in the club configuration. So let's go ahead and put them in. Like so. And if we have a look into the back of the aircraft, well, here they are, showing with nice visual models. Alright, so that much about the different options that we have available in the tablet in the Learjet 35. Now we can stow the thing again clicking on the camera button up on the iPad, and that's it. Alright, so let's have a look at what we are going to fly today. Now, I did get a little bit of feedback flying to this airport the last time from a couple of locals, and that is the pronunciation. Now, this is YouTube, so obviously we are not only here for reviewing an aircraft, but also for a little bit of entertainment. So let me try to finally pronounce that airport correctly. So it's not called Vaxieux, as I called it on my previous video, but it calls Vaxieux, something like that. Now, as a German, I probably still got it wrong, but you get the idea. In any case, if it does entertain you, do let me know. Okay, so then a couple of things here. We do have a little click spot to show and hide the control column, which can be quite handy. And, well, you can also show and hide it using click spot down here. Apart from that, the cockpit is a fairly basic setup with a standard instrument T. It is a conventional cockpit, but with the GTN 750 I really do feel like you get a very good combination between the two. Apart from that, the aircraft does have a pressure cabin, and it actually has a pretty cool pressure cabin. If you look at the gauge down here, you can see that the cabin pressure can basically remain at sea level all the way to 25,000 feet of flight altitude. So that is pretty cool. Makes the airplane a very good ambulance, since with patients you never know whether change in cabin pressure is exactly what those patients need at this very moment. Alrighty though. That's pretty much all the basics that we have over here. Let's go ahead and power the airplane up, and then we're going to take it flying on a quick 20-minute flight from Gothenburg to Vaxieux. Thank you very much to Orbex for providing the airports featured in this video. So batteries can come on down here. Next up, we're going to power up the inverters, and that also brings up the lights in the cabin. So leads me to system depth, and the system depth in this aircraft is really, really good. I really can't overemphasize that FlySimWare is doing an awesome job getting the systems of their aircraft simulated. Now, quick check of all the systems, then looking at the audio control panel over here. We are using VHF 1 and 2, transmitting on VHF 1. All the NEI systems are turned off. Switches are basically all off, except for the NE skid. Fasten belts can come on over here. Next up we can do a couple of warning system tests. Cabin altitude. As you can see, not exactly every single one of them does seem to work, but you get the general idea. Okay, so then, cabin pressure panel is already pre-selected. We're just going to keep it down at sea level today. Or actually, we are not going to keep it at sea level, but of course set it to the destination elevation. And our destination factor is located at 600 feet elevation, so something like that. Okay, apart from that, automatic climate control, and we are just going to set the target temperature somewhere right about in the middle. Okay, and on the other end side, we put the nav light on, and since we're about to start up, we also put the beacon light on. Okay, going down into the middle then, flaps are up, park and brake set, fuel quantity, very quick check over here. So total quantity is 3,000 pounds, and if I do quickly have a look at the SimBrief flight plan, unfortunately we cannot display that on the tablet in the aircraft. I really hope they're going to add that ability for the future, but looking at it on my real physical tablet, we need 2,100 pounds of fuel, we have 3,100 on board, so that is all we need. Okay, going down, yaw damper is currently turned off. The radios are turned off until we have our engine started, and that's it. Okay then, so let's go ahead and close the doors. So we can click that little click spot down here to close the lower part of the door. Then we click over here to close the upper part of the door. And when the door is closed, we click that little button over here. And then we can close the door lock. Okay, and with that our door is now closed and secured for operations. Okay, excellent. So then we are ready for engine start. Now, quick check again, the beacon light is on, awesome. Okay, then we're going to start with the left engine. Ignition on, starter on. And here we go. Turbine speed is N2 increasing, fan speed is N1. So 20%, fuel on. Now just to show you, the fuel is actually controlled through the thrust lever switches down here. Like, this is the off position, and this is the on position. Obviously should have been off previously. It's sometimes a little bit hard to see. Okay, so we do have a good start on engine number 1. Generator can come on. Starting engine 2. N2 is increasing. N1 is increasing. So, reaching 20%. Fuel goes on. And we do have ignition. Okay, that looks like we do have a good start on both engines. Self-sustaining RPMs are reached up here. That basically means that even if the starter would now fail or disconnect, then we'd still have ample RPM so that the engine would continue the rest of the start itself. Okay then, generators on, ignition can go off. Avionic master on, radio altimeter, autopilot, emergency battery to standby. Okay, the electrical panel is already set, stall warning can come on. We'll keep the lights off for now. Bleed air is coming on, and the lights are already set. Alright, very good. Then, going down to the bottom, flaps going into the 8th position. And the yaw damper can come armed, or rather powered, but we're not going to engage it just yet. So, pitch trim. Going to set it into the takeoff range, of course. Here we go. Okay, and we'll do the radios in a few moments. Well, we can already set radio number 2 because number 1 will be controlled through our GTN. So we got 1 to 1.5 in here, and we're definitely going to set that active. Okay then, so let's go for our flight plan using the TDS GTN XI, really my favorite navigation unit for the simulator.
TARS, system test okay.
The weather radar stays off for now, of course. And we can already pre-select it to weather mode. Okay, so on into the flight plan. We are departing. Well, let's first of all start with a fresh plan, please. So, ESGG. Göteborg Landvetter, and our destination is going to be ESMX. Oh, my apologies. ESMX, of course. Okay, so let's first of all go into the waypoint info and the weather data. So this is the current weather. 220 at 14, and we do have a runway number 03 and 21. Well, obviously it's going to be runway 21 for the departure then. Okay, so we don't need any of those, and for the rest of our weather it's scattered clouds, QNH 1001. Okay, well, so 1001, we can easily set that up over here. There was a click spot somewhere that we could use to turn it into hectopascals on the altimeter, but I just cannot find that one anymore. I mean, you can see over here that the option is definitely available, so it's down on me for getting that one wrong right now. Aha, here we go. Okay, hectopascals. That makes our lives much easier. Okay, so QNH 1001, and finally we're going to do the same on the other end side. So gotta hold it down until it... How do we do that? I do believe we just held it down over here, right? Okay, here we go. So, hectopascals. And now down to 1001. Perfect. Okay, so, and one reminder is going up for 95%, which is going to be the maximum we are going to use for takeoff. And then we can go right down into the procedures, or rather into the flight plan. So, procedure, departure, and our departure runway is going to be the Lukacs for Juliet departure, which we can find down here, and load that one up. And from Lukacs we're going to proceed direct to Gelmar. So insert after Gelmar. And finally for our arrival into our destination. You can see how I'm trying to avoid to pronounce that name. We're going to fly the ILS approach runway 19. Okay, load that up, and that's it. That's our flight plan already created. So, our squawk is going to be 2000. I'm just going to use the default squawk here, and obviously change the flight ID. So, aircraft registration today, let's see, normally we should have plug out somewhere in the cockpit, but I can't seem to find that right now. It's November 417 Bravo Alpha. Okay. November 417 Bravo Alpha. Okay, enter that, gonna turn it on, and that's it. So, pretty short taxi, as you can see. We simply go straight out and then onto Zulu Yankee runway 21. Okay, and 122800 into the com. Okay, and that's it. So with that, we're pretty much ready to go. Last thing we can do down here is have a quick look at the departure chart. So, Gothenburg, departures, and we go for the Lukacs for Juliet departure. So, initial climb altitude 5000. Here we go. And for the routing, initially it's going to be on the runway track 202, so we do need to set those up manually on the course selector down here. That is fully realistic. And here we go. Track 202 is selected. Okay, and the rest of it we'll just leave over here. Initial speed restriction 210 knots. So let's go ahead and set the speed bug towards 210. Here we go. And finally the heading bug can also go to the runway heading. And that's it. Okay, so going to go back to the map down here, and with that we are ready to taxi. So the lights can go into the taxi position, and then we are clear on the left side and clear on the right side. Parking brake goes off. And this is the clacker sound that I meant earlier on the menus in the iPad. Now, basically whenever the engine gauges are moving, it's making that sound, but if it does annoy you, you can turn it off. Okay, Holland Point Yankee is just straight ahead. We're going to taxi there, and then we'll just hold the position for a moment and prepare the aircraft for our takeoff. So, no traffic over here. It does seem to suffer from the bug that the engine sound doesn't play when you're looking straight ahead right now. That's a little bit of a pity there. But that seems to be a Sim Update 15 thing. Nothing we can blame the developer on. For that reason, I'm not really commenting on it much more here. Okay. Parking brake set. Then let's go ahead and prepare the airplane for our departure. We start with the flight control track. Full up. Full down, neutral. Full left, full right, neutral. Rudder, full left, full right, neutral. Okay then, rest of our setup. Ignition is coming on, landing lights are coming on, these strobes and the recognition lights are coming on, weather radar is coming on over here. And finally, the transponder can go on as well. Okay, gonna zoom this out a little bit over here. That's gonna be our route of flight. And the reversers go into arm. Okay, and with that, I do believe we are good to go. So let's pre-select the elapsed timer down here so that we can start it as soon as we start our takeoff roll. Also quickly going to set up the speed box over here. V1 125, rotation at 130, and the initial climb 210. Alright, and that's it. So, we're good to go. Let's see, the approach area is clear, the runway is clear, and the windsock is showing us a wonderful headwind. Perfect. Parking brake is off, and with that, we are good to go. And of course the pitot heat is coming on down here as well. Cabin, prepare for departure. Okay, nose wheel steering needs to be switched on, like so. And for the takeoff run, we can switch it back off again. Also, in theory, we can do it somewhere here on control column as well. Well, I honestly can't really be bothered with it. So, timing and takeoff. Set thrust. The plane has got ample power available, so you don't really need to be worried about not setting it 100% exactly. 80 knots. V1, rotate. Positive climb. Gear up. You can see it has got a wonderful rate of climb here. Can keep accelerating and, well. Okay, flaps up. Yaw damper on. Okay then, nav mode. Set climb power. We'll go for 90%. Over here. Okay then, left turn heading 201. Okay then, climbing to cruise level 210. And then left turn track 155. Okay, then we've passed the speed restriction, we can start accelerating. Passing 5,000, so it's done that. Standard cross-check level 60, well 61 now. Checked. And we continue the left-hand turn. You can see it flies really beautifully. Really beautifully. Okay, so thrust reversers are going off and the ignition is also going off. Landing lights going off. We still have the recognition lights operating. That's all we need over here. And our desired track is going to be 064. Okay, and here we go. You can see it's really a joy to hand fly this aircraft. I'm still doing it, and honestly gotta say, I do really still like it. Okay, so autopilot onto speed hold. Let's see, the GPS is giving us, or rather the roll mode is giving us LRN. Do you believe that is long range navigation? Not 100% sure. Let's put on the autopilot and see what it's going to do. So autopilot engaged. I'm not 100% convinced it's covering the GPS track right now though. So let's see, we do have GPS down here and we have GPS navigation over here. Well, let's see if it is going to follow the route. There might be a new trick introduced since the last time that I have flown this aircraft. Oh, and I just pressed the wrong button here, so speed hold and altitude select, that is what I aim to press. So the aircraft is not going to capture an altitude unless the altitude select is armed. Okay, and standby altimeter can obviously go to standard as well. Alright, with that we should pretty much be all set up. So, standard climb speed is 250 knots, all the way till you reach Mach point 64, I believe. I might be incorrect on that number, don't quote me on it. Okay, the plane is following the GPS, nice. So, I was a little bit over-suspicious, because we saw LRN over here and not GPS. I could swear on previous versions it showed GPS, but doesn't matter. They are continually developing the aircraft, so the last version I've flown is not necessarily the latest version that we have right now. But overall, really beautiful aircraft to fly. It's really enjoyable. You can see it's got huge power reserves available here as well. And if we just increase our thrust here to, let's say, something a little bit closer to the limit, because I am keeping the airplane pretty I'm keeping it pretty reduced in power, pretty derated. You can see if we go to a full climb power, then, well, rate of climb almost 6,000 feet a minute? How's that? But let me just reduce that again a little bit. If we take the fan down to somewhere 95 through 90%, then the airplane does fly a little bit nicer with that. Approaching. Vertical speed. Clicking the button up here, you can reduce your vertical speed. So, want to go down towards 2,000 feet a minute. Something like that. Okay, engine synchronizer unfortunately doesn't want to come on right now. Maybe that is still a work in progress. I'm not 100% sure about that. So speed up towards 290 knots. That's gonna be all we'll need in the cruise today. Otherwise, the plane is so fast, it's got so much power. Especially when you don't fly that regularly. You know, just try not to completely max it out, but rather fly it in a conservative way. You know, if the overspeed warning comes on, then you've basically done something wrong. Okay, reaching target speed, 290 knots. You can start pulling a little bit of power. As you can see, plenty of power is available in the aircraft. So let's just go ahead and try the headset. Listen to how beautifully quiet it gets. Now, as a flight simmer, you probably won't agree that this is beautiful. You'll rather be like, well, I do like my sounds. And I can completely understand that. But rest assured that pilots will usually be happy when it is that quiet. They really usually will be. Okay, for you guys, we'll put the headset off again so that we do have a little bit of sounds here. Okay, cruise level is reached. We are going to adjust our power to maintain 290 knots. You can fly it faster if you want to. Just be a little bit careful with your power, because especially cruising at these low levels, if you do add too much power, you forget it, you will overspeed. Beautiful looks from the outside as well. It's one of those aircraft you really gotta love. And I really do. Okay, so you can see it's not all that far till our destination. We probably gotta start our descent in a few moments. Let's go to VNAV over here. Disabled because our route has a discontinuity in it. Yeah, unable, upcoming flight plan lag not supported. That's fine. So looking into the flight plan itself, you can see that we do have vector lag over here. So after Galma, it's going to be radar vectors, but we might just about fly direct to the Fox India 19. I'm pretty sure in the real world you would get something like that. Maybe take the 007 Lima. So ultimately there is not that much traffic in this area, so ATC would probably have given us the direct the moment we went airborne, but you know, I wanted to show you a little bit of the navigation capability of the aircraft. Okay, so we are now about 50 miles from a 10-mile final. That probably means we gotta start our descent any moment now. But now we should have VNAV available, so let's see what it's going to say. Yeah, here you go. So vertical speed required is 2,000 feet a minute. Let's go ahead and start our descent again. Altitude selector can come down. We'll start at 10,000. And then vertical speed, alt select. Pull, well, we can do it over the speed mode as well. Pull off a little bit of the power, so that we can start a shallow descent until we reach our target vertical speed. And we are now looking for 2,300 feet a minute. So we'll just wait until the airplane gets approximately there. Something like here. Vertical speed hold, and there we go. And that's about as easy as it gets. Okay, so quick look into our destination weather for Växjö. I do hope that that is more or less the correct pronunciation now. So, airport, ESMX, weather data. It's currently 180 at 12. 10 kilometers light rain, 16 degrees, 1004. Okay, we're going to pre-select our standby altimeter towards 1004. And that's it. Okay, look at our charts for the approaches. ILS runway 19 is pre-selected already, excellent. So 109.7, we'll take that active, and we can put that into radio number 2 as well. 109.7, final approach course 187, we'll have to set that once we are on the inbound course. Juliet Extra NDB 349 can go into the ADF as well. Well, if we can select it properly, that is. Okay, 349, active, and we will make sure to display it on the RMI as well. Okay, apart from that, seatbelt sign is still on. Cabin pressurization is taken care of, the lights simply all remain on this, and that's it. Okay. Excellent. For the approach, 130 knots is okay, and we'll also set a speed back towards 180. Okay, we can't set it above 172. But then we're gonna go for 160 for the initial approach speed, and then 130 for the final approach. And that is gonna be good. Okay, so as you can see, very easy to fly the aircraft. It simply does what it is supposed to do. Okay, we will want to see our ground speed, so let's put the units to knots already. Minimum 763. Unfortunately, we don't have a bug on the altimeter where we could show it. So we gotta use the radio altitude, which is 200. And the radio altimeter is located right over here. 200 is selected. Excellent. Okay, we start receiving the NDB. Let's see, vertical speed required is now 2000 feet a minute, so let's just pitch up a tiny bit here. You can see how small inputs I'm doing here just to get the vertical speed under proper control. But that's how the airplane flies. Okay, looking good. Right, let's go down to 5000 on the QNH 1004, please. (1004) cross-check, passing 12,000 now. Checked. Okay, go around N1, we can set the reminder towards 98%. So, landing lights coming on, and we can start our speed reduction here. So, quick word here on the way how we fly the aircraft. You can see I'm not pulling the power off completely, but much rather I'm just pitching it up in order to reduce the speed. The reason behind that is that we don't really want to go idle thrust, because that may mean insufficient bleed air would be available to keep the airplane pressurized. For that reason, we try to avoid using idle thrust a little bit here. We'd much rather just keep a bit of power on, as you can see, pitch it up to reduce the speed. Typical private jet, that the engines need to be running at more than idle power for a descent. Completely normal. Okay, reaching 250 knots, speed hold. So, quick look into the VNAV tool, see how many feet a minute we need now. 2000. So we'll adjust the thrust in order to maintain 2000 feet a minute now. Something like this. Okay, weather out there, a couple of showers, pretty much as forecast. Okay, so quick look at the chart. The platform altitude is 2,600. So here we go, 2,600 is pre-selected. And then we basically gotta have 2.6 at the Fox India point. So if we do look at our flight plan, we can see that VNAV tries to bring us down towards 2.6 by the time we reach the Fox India directly. 1500 FPM target right now, but we still need 1900 because we are a little bit above the target path, but that's not going to be much of a problem here. Ultimately the plane, of course, the plane is equipped with speed brakes, so if we really need to slow it down, then we absolutely can do. Also, since we're at low altitudes, we can go idle thrust any moment. Alright, so let's go idle now and have a look at what the airplane is capable of. Just look at that. 3,000 feet a minute, not a problem. Alright, turning final in a few moments. We're 13 miles out. The glide slope's coming in already. Now we're going to do a typical business jet arrival here. Flying as fast as possible all the way down. That one's gonna be fun. That one's really gonna be fun. Okay then, let's put it on heading select for the ILS intercept. Here we go. Warlock is selected. Localizer is armed. Localizer alive, localizer capture, and the glide slope is down here already as well. Vertical speed. Pitch up a little bit, and glide slope is armed. As you can see, it's not a problem at all to fly the airplane with 250 knots onto a 10-mile final. Okay, so outside temperature plus 20, then we don't need anti-ice, but we definitely do need the ignition. So that good stuff is on, everyone is seated. Cabin, please be seated. So we are going to fly a short level off at 2,600 over here, and thereafter we are going to intercept the glide slope. Yeah, what's it doing now? Well, it's the altitude capture. A little bit aggressive there. A little bit aggressive. So in general, 8 miles out, and we are doing 180 knots, so we are running pretty well on our approach profile. And actually add a little bit of thrust to avoid it from slowing down too quickly. Okay, so reaching the glide slope, flaps 8. Speed slowly coming back to 160, and we're going to maintain 160 until we are 4 nautical miles out. So idle thrust. That's why we needed the flaps, because as you can see the speed is pretty much steady over there. Muting the gear warning here because, well, we are aware of it. So, reaching 160, going to maintain that, a little bit of power here. Okay, so, glide slope is captured, go around altitude 2600 is set. When reaching that, we make a right turn back to the NDB, which is tuned active here already. Excellent. Okay, gear down. Flaps 20. Yaw damper off. Autopilot should come off with that as well, I think. Thrust reverse is armed. So 130 is the target. Flaps full. Autopilot off. Alright, runway inside on our 12 o'clock. Let's see, landing gear down 3 green, flaps, a full reverses armed. That's the landing checklist complete. It's a very light aircraft, of course, so don't be surprised once we reach the woods over there, once we are flying over the trees. If it does get a little bit more turbulent than it is right now anyway, you can really feel how the aircraft is getting thrown around. Especially after flying wide bodies for a time.
500.
Checked. Okay, we're not going to land from the outside. I gotta disappoint you on that. Yeah, a little bit laggy right now. We're flying... Well, I was about to say we're flying on the puppy, but the lags that we are just seeing are a little bit annoying. Okay, so power idle. Flare it out, and touchdown. Okay, reversers deployed. I'm not using any wheel brakes over here, simply using the reversers. Okay, reverser back to idle. Manual brakes. Steering can come on. Nose wheel steering, that is. And we can vacate the runway. Welcome to VAC Show. So, thrust reversers are going off. The timer can be stopped. 24 minutes of flight time. That was a quick one, for sure. Okay then, make sure the airplane is completely behind the stop line. Like now. Excellent. Okay, then let's just get rid of the control column for a moment here. So, radio altitude off, autopilot off, pitot off, ignition off, landing lights back towards taxi, cabin air off, weather radar off, transponder has automatically gone into ground, and the recognition and strobe lights off, yaw damper power off. And that's it. Right then, let's taxi to the GA parking over on the right hand side here, in front of the hangar. And then all I can say is that the FlySimWare Learjet 35 really came quite some way. Couple of sound issues in this version, but I do believe that's probably down to sim update 15 here, mostly that you only hear the engines when you're looking to the side. Probably down to sim update 15, so I'm not gonna blame him for that. Apart from that, it is really a very nice aircraft. Coming to Marketplace on the 6th and coming to Xbox a week later, so do keep an eye out on it. It is, in my opinion, one of the first like real, true, very good business jets available for the simulator. Now with that said, thank you very much for watching, everyone. I do hope that you enjoyed it. I do apologize again for the little performance issues that we had here on the final approach, which made the entire thing a little bit unstabilized. Now, normally this is not down to the aircraft. Normally the aircraft is performing pretty well, so really not 100% sure what's caused that. I can only apologize for it in the video, but nonetheless hope that you have enjoyed this flight with us. So going to shut it down over here, and with that I'd like to say thank you very much for watching, everyone. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to let me know in the comments below. I am very much looking forward to your feedback. And as always, if you are up for more, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and then I see you all again on the next one. Finally, if you really love what I'm doing, I would appreciate a small donation through the Buy Me Coffee link in the video description below.